Thank you. We are real excited. We are gathered here today to witness and bless the marriage of two people that are loved greatly. Vernon Crater and Magda Rocha. This is a really big day. It's a benchmark day. It's one of those days that you have in your life that you look back on. They're etched in our memory forever. Days that we remember every single detail. And this day will be that day for each one of you. A day you will never forget. This day when you bring your heart and your dreams and your special gifts and your talents, your very lives to this sacred and spiritual occasion when you are joined together in holy matrimony. So what's going to happen during this ceremony? One thing Vernon told me at the very beginning, he wanted this to be a very, very long ceremony. No, just kidding. On the surface, promises are going to be made, vows taken, there are going to be obligations entered into, responsibilities undertaken. This is all true, but on a much deeper and more profound level, both of you are going to make a sacred commitment to one another. And it's a pledge to give of yourself to the other person for their benefit, regardless of the cost to yourself, for the rest of your life. And you're going to enter into this covenant before God, your family, and your very, very best friends. What an occasion. From the very beginning of time, God had in mind exactly what you're doing today. It is so, so important you find that one person you can share your life with. It really does make all the difference in the world. Genesis 2, God said it is not good for man to be alone. Created woman, He sanctioned that first marriage, so in one sense, you were fulfilling God's plan from the beginning of time. And if you remember, Jesus' first miracle was at a party like this, a wedding party like this. And it was almost like He was, in His very first public act, validating God's plan from the beginning, putting His seal of approval on love and fidelity and commitment and devotion and sacrifice. And just as Jesus was physically present 2,000 years ago at that wedding in Cana, I'm guessing Jesus is here right now, present at this wedding party, ready to affirm and celebrate and, yes, bless this marriage. Everybody here is real excited that you both found the one person you can spend the rest of your life with. And as you know, wisdom, understanding, and maturity only comes after experiencing what life has to offer, realizing what's important in life, what really, really matters. And the fact that you're making this commitment to each other is inspiring to everybody here. And we're so excited to be a part of it. Now, as you know, marriage is a very serious commitment and covenant. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting, it's life-changing, it's challenging, it can be hard work sometimes. And so is there any place we can look for help, maybe for some guidance to help us travel down this road? Are there any words of advice or keys that will help us in a marriage relationship? Well, yes, thankfully, the Bible does help us, and it gives us a roadmap to any success in any relationship, but particularly the kind of relationship that you two are establishing right now. I don't think there's any greater picture of what love really looks like than what Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 13. Listen to this. This is a picture of what love really looks like. He said, if I speak in the tongues of men and of angels but don't love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but I don't love, I'm nothing. And if I give everything I have to the poor and surrender my body to the flames and don't love, I'm nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. It does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. It always perseveres. Love never fails. And now there are these three things: faith, hope, and love. The greatest is love. We're so fortunate as Christians because Jesus, through the way he lived and showed us in very tangible ways how to interact with each other. There's no better description of the example Jesus gave all of us here than what Paul wrote to this church in Philippi. He said, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if there's any comfort you get from being loved by Christ, if there's any common sharing in the Spirit, if there's any compassion, make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in the Spirit and of one mind. I like this part. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself. Not looking to your own interest, but to the interest of others. I think my favorite passage of Scripture about marriage, and I'm sure everyone here knows it, it's the advice Paul gives to couples. He says, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Another translation says, follow the lead of the other person because you respect Christ. I like this one. Out of respect for Christ, be courteously reverent to one another. As both of you give in this way, you're going to honor Christ. You know, by all the laws of nature and logic and simple arithmetic, to give yourself away so much in love, it's almost like you would end up with less of yourself than you started out with. But the miracle is that just the reverse is true. To give yourself away in love to somebody else is to become, for the first time in your life, fully yourself. To live not just for yourself alone, but for someone else that you have pledged your life to, it's a whole new way to become fully alive. Marriage is not a 50-50 proposition. It's 100% on both parts. And here's the miracle, and really the great surprise. When you give of yourself that much, when you hold fast to each other in trust and in patience and in hope and in love, and hold fast to the Christ who brought you to this place in your life, and where 2 or 3 or more are gathered in his name, same thing is going to happen that happened 2,000 years ago at that first miracle where Jesus turned the water to wine in Cana. You know what's going to happen? The impossible becomes possible. The water becomes wine. 2 individuals become one. And by grace, we become, little by little, more human, more whole, more loving, more richly yourselves together than you ever were apart. Okay, the time has come to make a commitment to one another. Here, Mike. I'm going to hold that for her. You would turn and face each other, hold hands. I'm going to start with you, Vernon. Vernon, do you take Magda to be your wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish as long as you both shall live, do you?
I do.
Magda, do you take Vernon to be your husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish as long as you both shall live, do you? As a tangible sign and commitment to one another, you will exchange rings as a symbol of this love and devotion. As we all know, this ring does not make you married. However, it's a very powerful, never-ending symbol of the covenant that you're making today. And every time you look at that ring on your finger, it ought to remind you of this very day right now and this very moment. Vernon, will you place this ring on Magda's finger as a symbol of the love and devotion to her, will you?
I will.
And Magda, will you wear this ring as a reminder of the sacred commitment that you're making to Vernon today, will you? And in like fashion, Magda, will you place this ring on Vernon's finger as a symbol of your love and devotion to him, will you? And Vernon, will you wear this ring as a reminder of this sacred commitment that you're making to Magda today?
I will.
Vernon and Magda are now going to light the unity candle. It's behind me. I'm going to light the two candles. It symbolizes two individuals coming together as one. If you would, during this time, just pray for them. Pray for their upcoming marriage, their life together. You're their best friends, so do that for them.
Same time. Perfect.
Let's bow for a word of prayer. I'd like to bless this marriage. Oh God, giver of life, giver of love, author of every good thing, and source of all joy, we thank you for Magda and Vernon. We thank you that you brought them together and for the covenant that they have made with each other today. We ask that you bless them mightily and keep them always in your presence. We ask that you smile down upon them, be gracious unto them, and that you continue to look down upon them with favor and grace and give them peace. We ask that you continue to remind them, and each one of us, that your love knows no limit to its endurance, no end to its trust, no fading of its hope. Continue to impress upon us and them that your love can outlast anything and that love never fails. We ask that you continue to be a real and powerful presence in their lives and that you lead and guide them on their journey together, and that we ask this all, of course, in the name of Christ. So, Magda, Vernon, having made serious, solemn, and sacred vows to one another and having exchanged rings as a symbolic expression of your love, devotion, and commitment to one another, acting with the authority vested in me by the state, but much, much more importantly, looking to God for divine approval and blessing, I happily pronounce you esposo y esposa. Good job. Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Vernon Crater.
Life has begun from this moment. You are the one right beside me, is where I belong. From this moment. We go the other way.
Let's go back in there. Let's go back in the boutique.
It's locked.
It's locked. Yes, forget it. Okay, hang on. I'll get somebody. Can you go tell somebody to open the boutique door? Somebody's gonna open it.
Hey guys, let's have fun.
Steve mocked us.
Oh, you know how. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Good to see you. Yeah. Good job. Awesome.